The first signs came like whispers across the globe. Scientists had been tracking unusual signals from deep space for years, but one day the transmissions became clearer. They were not random bursts of energy as previously thought. They were intelligent. Every research center, every observatory, felt the weight of that realization. Humanity was not alone. When the first alien ships appeared, no one on Earth knew exactly what to expect. At first, they were tiny dots in the sky, easily dismissed as satellites or space debris, but slowly the dots grew larger, and then their true nature became impossible to ignore. They moved with precision that defied understanding. Their shapes were unlike anything humans had ever imagined, sleek, angular, almost alive in the way they glided through space. Military radar and satellites tried to track them, but conventional technology seemed almost useless. At first, the reactions were mixed. People stared up at the skies with curiosity, awe, and fear. Governments issued calm statements, trying to reassure citizens that there was no immediate danger. News channels broadcast images of the vessels, and social media exploded with speculation. Were they scouts? Scientists? Invaders? Some said they were merely explorers, harmless travelers observing a primitive species. Others warned that humanity was being watched by beings far more advanced than anything Earth could produce. Meanwhile, the alien ships began to show signs of awareness. They didn't attack, but they didn't hide either. They hovered above major cities, their presence undeniable. Satellites were disabled temporarily. Communications were disrupted in subtle ways, and the ships moved with a strange rhythm, almost as if mocking human attempts to study them. Pilots reported strange lights and patterns in the sky, and radar operators noted that the vessels could vanish and reappear at will. On the ground, the tension grew. People watched from windows and rooftops as the alien fleet moved gracefully across the night sky. Children pointed in wonder, while adults felt a creeping sense of unease. Scientists worked frantically, trying to decode the signals, hoping to understand the intentions of these visitors. Every message analyzed revealed more sophistication than humanity had ever encountered. Yet the aliens offered no clear sign of hostility, only a chilling indifference, as if humanity were a minor curiosity in a much larger universe. The military prepared quietly. Fleets were moved into position, air defense systems were tested, and emergency protocols were updated, but even the best human technology seemed almost laughable compared to the alien ships. Missiles fired in training exercises simply couldn't reach them. Interceptors that chased them reported sudden, impossible maneuvers, sharp turns that defied physics, and speeds that made conventional aircraft seem sluggish. Officers in command rooms shared worried glances. Humanity had never faced an opponent like this before. Meanwhile, the aliens' behavior seemed designed to mock. They hovered in patterns that resembled laughter, their movements synchronized in ways that human eyes could interpret as playful taunts. Satellites captured strange holographic projections above cities, fleeting images that looked like alien faces grinning at the observers below. There was no direct communication, but the meaning was clear. The aliens regarded humanity as insignificant, amusing in its attempts to understand and defend itself. Despite the growing fear, many humans refused to panic. Scientists and engineers poured energy into understanding alien technology, devising theories that might one day allow humans to interact on equal terms. Ordinary people, meanwhile, adjusted to life under constant observation. Cities became watchful communities, and the sky was always a reminder that life on Earth was no longer entirely human-centered. For weeks, the world lived in a strange balance. The aliens observed, humans studied, and no direct conflict occurred. But the psychological effect was profound. People felt small, fragile, exposed. Leaders faced immense pressure to respond, yet no action seemed sufficient. Diplomats argued about the best approach. Scientists debated the ethics of making contact, and military commanders wondered if their preparations were enough. Every decision carried the weight of potential catastrophe. Then came the first undeniable act of mockery. The alien ships moved in formation over the Atlantic Ocean, and for hours every satellite-based communication system failed. Air traffic was disrupted, naval operations paused, and even emergency signals experienced interference. The aliens didn't attack. They simply displayed their power in a way that humiliated humanity. Experts described it as a demonstration of control, a reminder that Earth was being observed by beings who could manipulate the environment effortlessly. People watched in helpless fascination. From beaches to city squares, crowds gathered to witness the strange, silent show. Children laughed nervously, pointing at lights that danced in impossible patterns, while adults felt the tension of being tested by something far beyond their comprehension. News networks broadcast live feeds analyzing every detail, yet even the most experienced commentators could only guess at the aliens' purpose. At the same time, behind the scenes, humanity began its quiet response. In hidden laboratories, engineers sketched designs for a ship unlike any before, a vessel capable of remaining invisible to alien sensors, armed with weapons that could challenge even the most advanced technology. Soldiers trained relentlessly, preparing for a day that might never come but could not be ignored. Leaders authorized resources in secret, understanding that the survival of Earth could depend on innovation, courage, and the element of surprise. Humanity's resilience began to show in small ways. Communities adapted to the presence of the alien fleet, developing routines around surveillance and communication disruptions. Children in schools learned to recognize patterns in alien behavior, while adults focused on problem-solving, innovation, and maintaining morale. Despite fear and uncertainty, life continued. People celebrated small victories like understanding a signal or predicting a ship's movement, proof that humans were not entirely powerless. The first weeks of contact ended without violence, but the psychological games continued. The aliens' presence was a constant reminder that Earth was no longer alone, and that its inhabitants were being watched by beings whose intelligence and power dwarfed anything humanity had ever known. Yet beneath the fear, a spark of determination grew. Humans began to understand that they would need to rely on creativity, courage, and unity if they wanted to protect their world. Even in the midst of mockery, there was hope. Scientists continued their research, engineers refined their designs, and military strategists studied every possible scenario. Humanity's response, slow and measured, became a quiet but growing force. Every small discovery, every successful experiment reinforced the idea that Earth could not be treated as insignificant. The aliens might mock, but humans were beginning to prepare in ways the visitors could not yet perceive. And so, life on Earth changed forever. People looked at the skies not just with fear or curiosity, but with the awareness that every moment mattered. The aliens might have believed humanity weak, but Earth's inhabitants were learning to adapt, innovate, and prepare. The stage was set for a future where the balance of power might shift, one hidden move at a time. The first chapter of this unprecedented encounter had ended, but the story of humanity's resilience had only just begun. After the first weeks of tense observation, the alien fleet began to show signs of deliberate mockery. What had initially seemed like curiosity turned into subtle but unmistakable displays of superiority. They hovered above major cities, performing maneuvers that human pilots could not hope to replicate. Satellites were temporarily disabled. Communications experienced strange interference, and advanced radars were rendered almost useless. The aliens didn't attack, at least not physically, but they were sending a clear message. Humanity was being tested, and the visitors were amused by what they saw. In the control rooms of military bases around the world, commanders watched the sky in silent frustration. Missiles were launched in test exercises only to be easily dodged. Aircraft attempting to intercept alien ships reported sudden vanishing acts, sharp turns at impossible speeds, and a sense of intelligence behind every movement. It was as though the aliens were playing a game, and humans were only pawns in it. On the streets, ordinary people noticed the alien presence more than ever. Lights appeared in the night sky, shimmering and dancing in patterns that seemed intentional. Some described seeing shapes that resembled alien faces, projected faintly above city skylines. Children laughed nervously, pointing to the sky, while adults felt a mixture of fear and awe. Social media exploded with videos, photos, and speculation. Memes were created joking about Earth's fun visitors, but beneath the humor was a deep shared anxiety. Scientists, meanwhile, worked tirelessly to understand what was happening. They studied every movement, every signal, every anomaly. Teams of researchers tried to decode the alien transmissions, hoping for insight into their intentions. Each breakthrough brought a mixture of excitement and dread. The aliens were highly intelligent, their technology far beyond human understanding. Yet there were patterns, clues that could be analyzed. Humanity was learning slowly that survival would depend on knowledge as much as on firepower. Despite the ongoing mockery, small victories emerged. Satellites captured clear images of the alien formations. Researchers identified subtle weaknesses in the ship's energy patterns. Engineers tested theories and simulations, preparing for the day when humanity might need to act. These small successes gave a sense of hope, a reminder that humans were not powerless. However, the aliens were relentless in their displays. During one of the largest gatherings, hundreds of ships formed massive shapes above the Earth, almost like a theater performance. Below, millions watched as the lights moved in synchronization, creating geometric patterns that seemed intentionally designed to showcase intelligence and control. Airplanes and drones could not penetrate the formations. Communication systems experienced interference that lasted for hours. Military personnel called it psychological warfare. The aliens did not need weapons. They had control over perception itself. Governments around the world held emergency meetings. Leaders debated whether to attempt communication, issue warnings, or prepare defenses. Diplomats argued that the aliens might be open to negotiation, while generals insisted that Earth needed a secret weapon. It became clear that traditional methods, talking, observing, or waiting, would not be enough. Humanity had to innovate or face humiliation and potential destruction. In hidden laboratories, engineers and scientists worked on unprecedented projects. One of the most ambitious was a warship capable of remaining completely undetected. Unlike any previous vessel, it could cloak itself from alien sensors, move at incredible speeds, and carry experimental weapons designed to counter advanced extraterrestrial technology. Every detail mattered. The warship had to be perfect. A failure could mean the end of Earth as a free world. Soldiers trained relentlessly, preparing for scenarios that no human had ever faced. They practiced maneuvers and simulations, studied alien behavior, and coordinated strategies in secrecy. Every successful exercise strengthened confidence. Even as the aliens mocked humanity openly, the planet's defenders quietly built the tools they would need for the day when action became unavoidable. Meanwhile, civilians adapted to life under constant observation. Communities became more aware of their surroundings, learning to monitor the skies and report anomalies. Schools incorporated basic lessons about alien technology and behavior. People learned to live with the tension, to balance fear with curiosity. In a way, the alien presence reshaped society itself, forcing humans to be alert, clever, and unified. Despite these efforts, fear remained. Scientists warned that one wrong move could provoke the aliens. Military commanders feared that any premature strike could trigger retaliation far beyond anything Earth could withstand. Humanity was like a small boat in a stormy sea, aware of the storm but unsure of its next move. Every decision carried weight, but determination grew stronger than fear. Every failure, every mockery from the aliens was met with renewed effort. Engineers refined the warship's designs. Scientists analyzed new data, and soldiers drilled in perfecting maneuvers. Humanity realized that survival was not about matching alien power directly. It was about strategy, adaptation, and the element of surprise. The aliens, on their side, seemed to enjoy the ongoing display. They made no attempt to negotiate or communicate formally. Instead, they continued their patterns of mockery, hovering, dodging, and projecting images meant to intimidate and amuse. Analysts speculated that they were testing humanity's responses, measuring patience, intelligence, and resourcefulness. Every action by humans was observed, every move noted. It was as if Earth itself were part of an alien experiment, and failure was not an option. Public fascination with the alien fleet remained intense. People stayed up at night to watch the skies, sometimes traveling great distances to witness the ships firsthand. News outlets covered every sighting, and social media became a constant flow of updates, analyses, and speculation. Yet beneath the excitement, the world shared an unspoken understanding. Humanity was being tested, and the outcome was unknown. Amid this tension, small acts of heroism and ingenuity emerged. Scientists solved technical problems that had seemed impossible. Engineers built prototypes that could withstand extreme conditions. Military strategists developed contingency plans for scenarios no one had imagined. Humanity was proving that intelligence, courage, and collaboration could matter as much as raw power. As weeks turned into months, the balance between fear and determination became clearer. Humans had learned not only to endure the alien presence, but to prepare for a day when they could respond. Every mockery, every interference, every display of superiority was a challenge, and humanity was learning to meet it quietly, strategically, and with growing confidence. And so Earth waited, aware that the aliens were powerful and unpredictable, yet humans were not passive. They were preparing, learning, adapting, and quietly building the tools they would need to turn the tide. The aliens' mockery, once terrifying, became a motivator. Humanity understood that intelligence, ingenuity, and courage could create opportunities even against seemingly invincible opponents. Life continued under the watchful eyes of the aliens, but it was no longer ordinary. People adjusted, communities grew resilient, and humans began to see the importance of innovation, strategy, and unity. The stage was being set for a moment when the planet's hidden power would be revealed, a moment that could change the course of the encounter forever. In the skies above, the alien ships moved as always, confident, mocking, and seemingly invincible. On the ground, humans worked in secret, quietly building a force that the visitors could not yet detect. In the tension between fear and preparation, between mockery and determination, Earth was learning a vital lesson. Underestimation is dangerous, and even the smallest species can find a way to challenge the mightiest. The second chapter of humanity's story had ended, not with victory, but with preparation. The aliens continued to mock, to test, and to observe. But humanity had begun to rise to the challenge, quietly and intelligently, readying itself for the day when the balance of power might finally shift. As the alien fleet continued its presence in Earth's skies, humanity's efforts to respond became more focused and determined. The first weeks and months had been about observation and adaptation. Now humans were moving toward action, though it was careful, hidden, and deliberate. Every decision mattered, and the stakes could not have been higher. In underground research facilities and remote military installations, teams worked tirelessly on a project that had previously existed only in sketches and simulations. It was humanity's secret weapon, a warship designed not just to match alien technology, but to remain completely invisible until it was ready to strike. Engineers and scientists collaborated closely, combining knowledge of physics, materials, and advanced computing. Every detail was scrutinized. Even a single flaw could cost humanity dearly. The warship's design was unlike anything ever seen. Its hull was made of materials that absorbed and bent light, radar signals, and even energy readings. Its engines were engineered for speed and maneuverability that could rival the alien ships themselves. And most importantly, it was armed with experimental weapons capable of exploiting weaknesses in technology far beyond human standards. This was not just a machine. It was humanity's statement, proof that innovation and determination could bridge the gap between species. While engineers and scientists labored, soldiers trained relentlessly. Simulators replicated alien maneuvers, testing every possible scenario. Pilots learned to react in split seconds, practicing strategies that combined intelligence, patience, and precision. Every member of the team understood the stakes. This was no ordinary mission. Humanity was preparing for the possibility that the aliens would underestimate them, and underestimation could be fatal if it came too late. On the surface, life continued under the constant, watchful eyes of the alien fleet. Cities were alive with ordinary human activity, yet beneath the normalcy there was a quiet intensity. People had learned to recognize patterns in the alien movements. Children would point to the sky, noting shapes and lights that hinted at the fleet's behavior. Adults adjusted their routines, maintaining awareness of the skies while going about their lives. Humanity had learned to coexist with observation, using it as motivation to grow stronger, faster, and smarter. The aliens themselves seemed increasingly confident. They performed maneuvers that suggested they saw humans as inferior, almost like spectators observing a minor species. Holographic projections appeared above major cities, showing strange symbols, images, and fleeting alien faces. Communications were disrupted periodically, though never for long. Every act of mockery was carefully calculated, designed to test patience, intelligence, and coordination. Analysts on Earth studied the patterns, hoping for clues that might guide a future response. Amid this constant surveillance, human determination solidified into quiet resolve. Every technical failure, every moment of frustration became a lesson. Engineers adjusted designs, soldiers refined tactics, and scientists analyzed anomalies with painstaking care. Humanity's progress was incremental but steady. What the aliens might have seen as weakness was actually preparation, calculated, careful, and deliberate. The construction of the warship took months of careful planning. Supplies were sourced discreetly, advanced materials were synthesized in secret, and components were tested relentlessly. Every stage of development was monitored for flaws, weaknesses, or potential points of detection. The team understood that their success depended not just on technology, but on the element of surprise. If the aliens realized what humanity had built too early, the advantage would be lost. Even as the warship neared completion, the aliens' actions escalated. They moved in larger formations, performing complex maneuvers that displayed intelligence and coordination. Satellites occasionally failed, communications experienced temporary blackouts, and radar systems seemed almost toy-like in comparison. Analysts described it as psychological warfare. The aliens were sending a message. They were in control, and humanity was still being measured. Humanity's response was patient and strategic. While the alien displays were impressive, scientists and engineers focused on careful observation, cataloging every anomaly, and identifying potential weaknesses. Every pattern revealed a small insight. Every minor disruption was studied and understood. This period of patience was crucial. The hidden warship would only be effective if used at the right moment, with precise timing and maximum impact. On the social level, humans adapted to the alien presence in surprising ways. People worked together more closely, relying on communities, families, and colleagues to stay informed. Schools taught observation and problem-solving. Ordinary citizens learned to monitor unusual signals and report them. Humanity was not just preparing militarily. It was evolving culturally and mentally, sharpening awareness and resilience. Meanwhile, military strategists prepared for every conceivable scenario. Simulations included both defensive and offensive operations. Plans were drafted for engagement in orbit, high-speed chases across the atmosphere, and even direct combat scenarios. Every action considered the aliens' potential responses. Humans were learning not only to fight but to think several moves ahead. The warship was the centerpiece, but it was supported by an invisible web of intelligence, coordination, and planning. As the months passed, the warship neared readiness. Tests confirmed the cloaking systems worked as intended, engines performed at unprecedented speeds, and weapon systems were calibrated with extraordinary precision. Every component functioned as part of a larger system, designed to be greater than the sum of its parts. For the first time, humanity had a weapon that could meet the aliens on their terms, at least partially, and yet uncertainty remained. The aliens were unpredictable, highly intelligent, and observant. Every human knew that the slightest miscalculation could provoke disaster. Still, there was confidence in preparation. Humans had studied, experimented, and trained in ways no other species had expected. The aliens' mockery, once terrifying, had become a challenge to be met with intelligence, patience, and courage. Then came the first opportunity to test readiness, not against alien ships but against simulation and timing. The warship performed maneuvers and secret exercises that were more advanced than any prior tests. Engineers monitored energy usage, structural integrity, and sensor performance. Pilots ran maneuvers that would later be used to intercept alien vessels. Every movement was recorded, analyzed, and perfected. This was not practice. It was preparation for survival on a planetary scale. Humanity's determination was evident not only in technology, but in people. Scientists worked long hours, sometimes sleeping only a few hours at a time. Pilots trained until exhaustion. Engineers refined designs with obsessive precision. Every effort was fueled by the understanding that failure was not an option. Every act of dedication was a silent declaration. Humans would not be passive. In parallel, the aliens continued their mocking displays. Ships moved above cities, performing dances that seemed designed to frustrate human analysis. Holographic images appeared, fleeting symbols projected in the sky. Communications were intermittently disrupted, and yet humans observed carefully, learning, adapting, and preparing. The alien actions, once a source of fear, were now a test, a challenge that humanity was quietly meeting. Communities on Earth responded as well. People shared observations, recorded unusual phenomena, and reported anomalies. Schools and universities conducted research projects on alien behavior. Ordinary citizens became active participants in understanding the unknown. Humanity was uniting not just through military strategy but through shared observation and collective effort. The planet was becoming more cohesive, more aware, and more resilient. By the end of this period, the stage was set. Humanity had built a weapon that could challenge the aliens, trained personnel to operate it, and adapted society to the constant presence of advanced observers. The alien fleet still dominated the skies, still mocked and still observed, but Earth was no longer passive. The planet was preparing for a moment that could change everything, and so the third chapter of this story closed not with conflict, but with preparation. Humanity had grown stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The aliens' mockery had pushed humans to innovate, adapt, and unite. The warship, hidden and powerful, awaited the moment it would be revealed. The aliens had thought Earth weak, a trivial species to watch and amuse themselves, but humans had quietly prepared, learning that determination, intelligence, and courage could create opportunities even against the most formidable opponents. The future was uncertain, the aliens unpredictable, and the stakes higher than ever. Yet humanity had reached a point where it could face the challenge with confidence, patience, and the tools to make a difference. The hidden warship was ready, the personnel trained, and Earth itself prepared to shift from observer to active participant. The aliens had not yet realized that humanity's time was coming. The day came quietly, almost without warning, though humanity had been waiting for it for months. In hidden underground facilities, the warship's final systems were checked and double-checked. Pilots and crew ran simulations one last time, moving through every scenario they had practiced countless times. Engineers monitored every sensor, every energy pulse, and every possible failure point. The air was tense with anticipation, but there was also determination, a feeling that humanity had prepared for this moment every day since the first alien ship appeared above Earth. Above the planet, the alien fleet moved as always, confident and seemingly untouchable. Their ships formed patterns across the sky, shifting with precise synchronization. They hovered above cities, gliding silently, and projecting faint holographic images that seemed designed to taunt. People on the ground looked up, pointing, capturing videos and marveling at the strange lights. The aliens still had not understood what humans were capable of. They thought Earth was powerless, entertaining, and beneath their concern. And then, in an instant, everything changed. The warship, which had been invisible to every sensor, every satellite, and every alien eye uncloaked. It appeared suddenly in the midst of the alien fleet, a sleek, powerful vessel glowing faintly against the backdrop of space. For a moment there was silence, as if time itself had paused. The aliens froze in their formations, their previous confidence replaced with shock and confusion. The mockery, the subtle displays of superiority, vanished in an instant. Humanity had revealed its hidden strength, and the result was immediate. On Earth, people who had been watching the skies in fear and fascination gasped. Social media erupted with live footage of the uncloaking, though the majority of the world had no idea what they were witnessing. Scientists and military personnel in control centers around the globe monitored every signal, every reaction, every movement. It was the culmination of months of preparation, the moment where patience, ingenuity, and courage met opportunity. The aliens reacted unpredictably. Some ships scattered, attempting to regroup. Others hovered as if unsure how to respond. For the first time, humanity was not powerless. The warship moved with precision, positioning itself to exploit weaknesses the engineers and scientists had identified over months of study. Energy pulses and weapon systems activated in sequence, carefully targeted to disable, not destroy, the alien fleet. The goal was clear: show strength, enforce respect, and assert Earth's ability to defend itself. On the ground, people watched as lights streaked across the sky. Explosions of energy disabled key alien systems. Ships that had seemed invincible moments ago were forced to maneuver defensively. Analysts described it as a ballet of technology and strategy, a dance where every move mattered. Humanity had turned the tables. The aliens who had once mocked Earth were now forced to reconsider what they faced. Inside the warship, the crew worked in harmony. Pilots communicated seamlessly with each other and with support teams on Earth. Engineers monitored the weapons and propulsion systems, ensuring maximum efficiency. Every decision, every action was precise. The warship was not merely a machine, it was an extension of human determination, intelligence, and adaptability. The months of preparation, practice, and study had culminated in this single decisive moment. The aliens, once confident and mocking, were now on the defensive. Their movements were erratic compared to the controlled, calculated maneuvers of the warship. For the first time, humanity had turned fear into advantage. Analysts on Earth realized that the aliens had underestimated human ingenuity, creativity, and patience. Their assumption that Earth was weak had been proven wrong, and the result was visible across the skies. A shift in power that no one could ignore. People on the ground felt a mix of awe, relief, and pride. Cities across the globe watched the skies, captivated by the unfolding events. For the first time, humanity was not simply observing, it was acting, asserting itself in the presence of beings far more advanced than anything previously imagined. The warship had become a symbol, a message that Earth could not be dismissed, underestimated, or mocked indefinitely. The alien fleet began to retreat, slowly at first, then in a more organized withdrawal. It was clear they had learned a critical lesson. Earth was not helpless, and its people were capable of ingenuity and courage beyond what the visitors had anticipated. Analysts described the retreat as strategic, a calculated recognition of humanity's potential. The aliens had faced resistance in a way they had never experienced before, and it had left an impression that could not be ignored. In military command centers, scientists, engineers, and strategists began to analyze every detail of the engagement. They recorded data on alien reactions, ship movements, energy patterns, and weak points. Every piece of information was invaluable for the future. Humanity had shown strength, but the encounter also revealed areas where further preparation and innovation would be necessary. The warship had succeeded in its first mission, but Earth could not rely solely on a single advantage. Civilians, meanwhile, shared stories of what they had seen. Families gathered on rooftops. Friends crowded into public squares, and children excitedly pointed to the sky. The event became a shared memory for all of humanity, a reminder that fear could be turned into courage, that preparation and ingenuity could overcome even the most intimidating obstacles. Humanity had faced mockery, fear, and uncertainty, and emerged with proof of its resilience. The warship returned to hidden orbit, cloaked once again from alien sensors. Its mission was complete for now, but the significance was understood globally. Earth was no longer a planet to be dismissed or mocked. Humanity had demonstrated the ability to act decisively, strategically, and effectively. The aliens had learned a lesson in respect, one that would shape their future interactions with the planet. Despite the success, leaders, scientists, and military personnel knew that the encounter was far from over. The aliens were intelligent, observant, and likely to adapt. Humanity could not afford complacency. Preparation, vigilance, and innovation would continue. The warship had changed the balance temporarily, but the underlying challenge remained. Coexistence with a species far more advanced than humans, one that could strike unpredictably. Still, the morale boost was undeniable. Humanity had moved from fear to action, from observation to assertion. The planet's people had been tested and had passed in a way no one had expected. The warship's uncloaking was a turning point, a demonstration of what determination, ingenuity, and courage could accomplish. For the first time, humans looked at the skies not only with awe but with confidence. Across the globe, conversations shifted. Scientists debated new technologies, engineers refined existing systems. Military strategists developed contingency plans for the future. Communities adapted, sharing knowledge and supporting one another. Humanity was no longer simply a species observed and mocked. It was an active participant in its destiny. The aliens, for their part, would need to reconsider their approach. Their previous assumptions about Earth had been shattered. The mockery that had once been effortless was no longer possible. Earth had proven that intelligence, innovation, and courage could overcome apparent weakness. The balance of power had shifted, at least temporarily, and the lesson was unmistakable. The skies returned to a tense calm. The alien fleet maintained its presence, but with caution now evident in their movements. Humans watched, prepared and aware that the next encounter could be even more challenging. The warship remained hidden, ready for deployment if necessary, a silent guardian and a symbol of humanity's determination. And so, the fourth chapter of this story concluded not with victory alone but with transformation. Humanity had moved from fear to action, from mockery to respect, and from observation to assertion. The alien fleet had been humbled, its confidence shaken, and Earth had proven that preparation, courage, and ingenuity could tip the scales even against overwhelming odds. The world understood, more clearly than ever, that the future was uncertain. The aliens remained unpredictable, and humanity would need to remain vigilant. But one truth was undeniable. Earth had shown that even a species once mocked and underestimated could rise to challenge the most formidable of opponents. And the warship, invisible until it mattered most, had become the symbol of that resilience, strength, and hope. After the warship had revealed itself and demonstrated humanity's hidden strength, the world experienced a profound shift. The alien fleet, once confident and mocking, had retreated and regrouped, but their presence was still unmistakable. Earth was no longer a passive observer in the galaxy. It had become a participant, one capable of surprising even the most advanced species. People across the planet felt the weight of what had happened, and a new sense of unity and awareness spread among them. Governments and scientists worked closely, analyzing every detail of the alien retreat. Military analysts studied movements, energy signatures, and weapon responses. Every bit of data was valuable, not just for understanding what had occurred, but for preparing for future encounters. Humanity realized that the victory was temporary, that the aliens were intelligent and observant, and that any complacency could be dangerous. Yet for the first time, humans felt that they had a real chance. On the streets, people shared stories of the uncloaking and the displays above their cities. Families talked about what they had seen in the skies. Children who had once been frightened now spoke with excitement about the courage and ingenuity of the humans who had piloted the warship. Communities once focused on daily routines were now connected by a shared awareness of Earth's place in the galaxy. Ordinary people began to see themselves as part of something larger, a collective effort to protect the planet and assert humanity's presence. The warship itself returned to its hidden position, cloaked once more, waiting silently for any further need. It had completed its mission perfectly, to show strength, defend Earth, and force the aliens to reconsider their assumptions. Engineers and pilots continued to monitor it, maintaining its systems and running simulations to ensure that it remained ready. The ship was not just a weapon, it had become a symbol of human determination, innovation, and resilience. The aliens on their side adjusted their approach. Their fleet no longer moved with the same carefree confidence. Analysts observed more cautious maneuvers, coordinated formations designed to avoid direct engagement. Signals suggested they were studying humanity's tactics, trying to understand how a species they had dismissed could achieve such results. The mockery had ended, replaced by measured observation. Respect, grudging or otherwise, had replaced derision. Scientists and strategists understood the significance of this change. They recognized that humanity had not just survived, but had altered the perception of the entire species. Earth was now taken seriously, and future interactions would need to be approached with caution by the aliens. For the first time, humans had leverage in a relationship that had previously been one-sided. It was a reminder that intelligence, strategy, and patience could make even the seemingly powerless a formidable presence. Life on Earth began to adjust to this new reality. Cities maintained normal routines, but people were more aware, more connected, and more prepared. Schools began to teach basic knowledge about observation, strategy, and innovation. Communities shared resources and information more efficiently. People understood that survival and advancement required collaboration, vigilance, and creativity. Humanity had learned not only to face fear but to use it as motivation. Military forces remained alert, but their confidence grew. Pilots trained with renewed focus, engineers refined technologies, and strategists developed advanced contingency plans. Humanity understood that the aliens would adapt and that preparation could never stop. Every improvement, every new insight, became a way to ensure that Earth remained capable of defending itself, no matter what came next. The encounter also had a psychological impact. Humanity realized that fear and uncertainty could be transformed into courage and action. Ordinary citizens, scientists, engineers, and military personnel all contributed to a collective effort. The planet had learned a lesson. Even in the presence of superior forces, intelligence, strategy, and unity could change the course of events. The warship had shown that one well-planned and executed move could alter perceptions and shift the balance of power. Diplomats began cautiously considering communication. If the aliens could be reasoned with, humanity might be able to negotiate terms that ensured coexistence rather than conflict. The previous arrogance of the visitors had been replaced by curiosity and caution, creating an opportunity for Earth to assert itself diplomatically as well as militarily. While the planet was still vulnerable in many ways, it now had the confidence to interact on a more equal footing. Human ingenuity did not stop with the warship. Scientists continued to study alien technology, energy systems, and communication patterns. Engineers developed new prototypes and advanced tools to protect Earth further. Military strategists devised multi-layered defense systems that could operate both on the planet and in orbit. Humanity had learned that survival depended on preparation, observation, and constant improvement. Even as the world celebrated this newfound strength, there was a shared understanding that vigilance was essential. The aliens were intelligent and capable, and any mistake could have serious consequences. Yet humans had gained more than just technology. They had gained confidence, unity, and the knowledge that courage and preparation could overcome fear. The planet had faced mockery and intimidation, and had responded with creativity, strategy, and resolve. People on the streets, in homes, and at work shared a quiet sense of pride. They had witnessed something extraordinary. A species once underestimated had risen to assert itself. Children who had once feared the skies now looked at them with curiosity and hope. Adults, once anxious about the unknown, now felt capable of contributing to a collective effort that could ensure the survival and advancement of humanity. The aliens' retreat marked the beginning of a new phase. Earth was no longer simply a planet to observe, mock, or ignore. It had demonstrated intelligence, courage, and innovation. Its people had adapted, strategized, and acted decisively. The balance of power had shifted, at least in perception, and humanity now had a voice in the galaxy that could not be ignored. Scientists and engineers documented every detail of the warship's engagement, analyzing results and improving designs. Every observation of alien behavior was carefully recorded and studied. The lessons of the encounter would guide humanity for generations, informing technology, strategy, and even culture. People understood that knowledge, preparation, and ingenuity were the keys to survival and progress. Across the planet, communities embraced a new sense of purpose. Collaboration, observation, and learning became central to daily life. People recognized that survival in a larger universe required intelligence and unity. Humanity had learned not only to protect itself, but to grow stronger through adversity. Fear had been transformed into determination, and mockery into motivation. The warship remained a symbol of resilience, but it was also a reminder that preparation was never complete. Engineers, pilots, scientists, and strategists continued their work, refining systems and preparing for future challenges. Humanity had proven it could rise to an extraordinary occasion, but the encounter had also shown that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of unknowns. The aliens, having experienced humanity's ingenuity, now approached with caution. Analysts predicted that their future behavior would be measured, avoiding unnecessary risk while studying humans more carefully. The mockery that had once been constant was replaced by observation and curiosity. Humanity had earned, through action and preparation, a level of respect previously unimaginable. Life on Earth adjusted to this new reality. People continued with daily routines but with heightened awareness. Education incorporated lessons about strategy, observation, and technological innovation. Communities shared knowledge, supported each other, and contributed to collective preparedness. Humanity had grown stronger, not just in technology and military capability, but in intelligence, unity, and courage. The final chapter of this encounter left Earth transformed. The planet had faced beings far more advanced, had been tested, and had responded in ways that changed the balance of perception. The warship's uncloaking had been a pivotal moment. demonstrating that preparation, ingenuity, and courage could alter the course of history. Humanity had proven it was capable of extraordinary action, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And so, Earth entered a new era. The aliens remained observers, now cautious and respectful. Humans, once underestimated, now held their heads high, aware of their ability to defend, adapt, and innovate. The planet had emerged stronger, united, and ready for the challenges that lay ahead. The story of mockery, fear, and preparation had concluded, but the legacy of courage, intelligence, and resilience would guide humanity for generations to come. Humanity had learned the most important lesson. Even when others doubt your strength, innovation, preparation, and courage can change everything. The sky was no longer a source of fear. It was a reminder of what people could achieve when they worked together, prepared intelligently, and acted decisively. Earth had faced the unknown, and it had emerged with respect, pride, and hope for the future.